Alright, so this week's hot tip is value sketching. Now, what is value sketching? Well, value sketching is um, taking a set of markers that have a certain value range. In this case, what I use is that I use a set of gray markers. So these gray markers are all numbered between 10%, as you can see here. This is a Prismacolor, and I'm using, this is a 20% gray. So your value spread basically is your 10% through 90%, and 100% being, of course, black. So what do you do when you do your value sketches? Well, you are trying to use the entire range of your value of your colors. And in this case, it's going to be warm gray. And what you want to do with that is you want to be able to start doing very simple drawings to understand lighting and understand what that value spread really is. So I typically do that with doing just boxes. It's an awesome way to practice and to really understand lighting and how the value, where you apply the light to a certain object. What is the value spread to that object? And where's the cast shadow? What kind of value do you assign to the cast shadow, and so forth and so forth. So what you see here is, using curved surfaces. We have a vertical light that's projected onto the surface, that's perpendicular to the surface. Where's the cast shadow? How does that affect your value range, and how do you assign that value range? So once you do that and do practice doing sketches, and then you'll also we'll also get into kind of reflected light and how you communicate reflected light through your value range. And then from there you will start doing drawings of automobiles or whatever that is that you're interested in, but assign a value range to those drawings. So right here I've got a Jaguar and side view, and I start off with a very light marker, or light 20%, 30% gray marker, and then I start to darken up in the areas where I want to show a value change, which is a surface change. So to be able to communicate surface change, is really showing the value change within that shape. Once again, just drawing boxes. Okay, and here's another example of another value sketch of using gray. So I really only went to like a 30% in the background, so that kind of gives you the field of depth, and about 40%, 40 to 50% in the car in the rear. And then from here, for the foreground Grand Prix car here, what I used was started off with a 30% when I started to outline the drawing, and then you start to assign the darker values, because this is your area. When you're composing this is the area of concentration. So when your brain looks at the highest contrast, when you see a two objects and you have a lot of contrast between the foreground and the background, your eye tends to move to the area of the highest contrast. So here, between the contrast of the darker colors on this vehicle versus the background, and versus the color of the vehicle to the rear of the foreground vehicle, you can see that there's the value shift, which is why you perceive this being much darker. You see that this is really the area of concentration. So it's kind of fun to kind of play around with that. And here again, here's another one. This being the area of concentration on this sketch. And as you get into that and you finish up these drawings, then you can actually go into to Photoshop. I printed something, a quick touch-up on Photoshop with this. And here I just try to add a little bit more emotion to the picture. And it's the same principle when you're working with color, is to use a value spread within your color range, whatever you decide to pick. Okay, So anyway, this is the hot tip for the week. We will be doing some demos, kind of walking you through all this stuff, but this is more or less a quick video to show you what things we intend to post here. So hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you again next week. drivenmavens.com